This is the Hub on Hollywood, an iHeartRadio podcast. I'm your co-host, James Rojas. Coming back this week for a second week in a row, guest co-host Kyle Bray. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back. Excited to be here.
We're back in the iHeart Music Lounge.
Look at this lovely place.
It's beautiful. I'm going to try to book it as often as I can because the acoustics are amazing in here.
Yeah, it makes me feel like we're giving like a TED Talk or something.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
we need to get these seats filled up.
Strut around the stage with a little wireless, you know?
Yeah, actually, I do have some wireless mics, so next time we can experiment with that. But for this episode, what we are going to be experimenting on is our thoughts, I guess, on the Oscar nominations. The list is officially out, and just like every year, there are Oscar snubs, but there are those, well-deserved nominations and our favorites that we're going to be talking about. Also hosted by Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. I mean, we talked about how much we both love Conan last week. When I saw that news, I was so excited.
He's had the craziest 2 months of his life.
Really?
Because, as we mentioned last episode, his parents passed away both in the same week. It was announced that he won the Mark Twain Prize Award. His house nearly went up in flames.
Gosh.
Do you know if you listen to the podcast, I think you do, you've heard some episodes, but his co-host, I'm forgetting her name, but Sonia. She lost her house.
Wow.
So her house burned down. And then now he's going to be hosting the Oscars in just a matter of weeks. And so just a wild year for Conan.
A lot going on.
We're sending our love to you, Conan.
Yes, exactly.
You can do this. But we will get to the Oscar nominations. Hasty Puddings announced their Woman of the Year. No big surprise as to who they picked. You can't spell The Brutalist without AI. What does that mean? I love that tease. And some reviews, of course, of Anora, a full spoiler review of Anora. We did a non-spoiler a couple of weeks ago, but we're getting into it now. You should have seen it by now.
Yeah, you catch up on your homework.
Yeah, we're also going to talk about Sing Sing, right?
Yes.
Sing Sing. But first, I do have to mention, just because, again, just mentioning Conan O'Brien and the LA fires that have been ongoing. A new one has popped up. That one not so dangerous as in regards to its location to other homes or property. But LA Fire Aid is coming up January 30th. That's where all these celebrities and singers and performers are coming together to raise money, raise funds for those who have been affected. Of course, everybody knows all the celebrities, or many celebrities, lost their homes or were evacuated. But a lot of normal folk like you and myself were devastated by the fires. And so they announced their who's performing, and among the performers include Billie Eilish, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Olivia Rodrigo, Stevie Wonder, Sting, Dave Matthews, John Mayer, Jelly Roll, No Doubt, Pink, Stevie Nicks, Graham Nash, I was going to say John Bon Jovi, but no, Joni Mitchell. It's a great list.
Very different.
Yeah, very, very different. Green Day, the Black Crowes, and many, many more people. So, of course, that is happening in Los Angeles on the 30th. But if you want to donate, you can go to LA Fire Aid, their website, and there is a page, a link to donate anything that you can do, because, again, just wild that more fires are popping up.
No, I know, and I know you're from that area originally. And I have family that live there, and I have family that used to live in Altadena, and I'm getting texts about just seeing how harrowing it looked thereafter. It's just it's good that we're getting together to help these people out.
It's so crazy, because I know one reporter or colleague, never worked at the same station, but you run into reporters out in the field, so you get to know them. But she lost her house. I know several people. One of my former co-hosts of a public affairs show in college, she had to be evacuated, but her home remains, though it's filled with smoke, ash and smoke. So you gotta. It's not just like over if your house survived. There's a lot of stuff going on. So we send our love over to those folks over there. Who is receiving love over here in Cambridge, in Massachusetts, is none other than Wicked star Cynthia Erivo. She has been named the Hasty Puddings Woman of the Year.
Oh, yeah. Well-deserved.
Well-deserved. She's having a fantastic year. John Hamm, he was announced the Man of the Year. And so we just have this latest announcement. Did you see Wicked?
I did, yes. And I thought that she was incredible. I mean, it was one of those, until I'd seen a lot of the other movies, I was considering her as like a pick for Best Actress this year, because Ariana Grande is great in it as well, but like that movie isn't what it is without the performance that she puts in, acting wise and vocal wise. I mean, she's a phenomenal singer.
I haven't seen it. I know it's getting great reviews, and I will eventually see it. But when the first trailers came out and I saw Ariana Grande as Galinda, the Good Witch, I don't know. I just wasn't sold. But again, I've been proven wrong by all the amazing reviews and the acclaim that she's received. So it seems like she's done a fantastic job too.
Yeah, I was never the biggest like Ariana Grande fan, but I liked Victorious, the show she was on when I was a kid. That was a good show. But no, she does great. I mean, as Galinda, I mean, she's got a fantastic voice. There's a reason why she's had so much success.
So of course
she has.
They're gonna have some kind of theatrical Wicked performance. So
I bet.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
That's gonna be a good one. That should be a good one.
Yeah.
So shout out to Cynthia Erivo for a continuation of acclaim and appreciation. One thing I'm not appreciating, Kyle, Netflix. They're raising their prices. Do you have Netflix?
I do, yes.
I'm so close. I'm always on the edge of getting rid of my subscription because I realize I don't use it that often. I really, really don't. No. But now they're raising it by at least $2.50 for one of the tiers. So one of them is $17.99. There's a tier for $7.99 if that's the ad-supported tier. But this comes as the company keeps reporting more subscribers, millions and millions of dollars coming in, and I don't know what to do.
And a changing dynamic too, because they're really getting into like the live sports industry. Obviously, they just had all they have the WWE, and they just signed on to be the broadcast rights holders for the next 2 Women's World Cups, which will be really interesting. I'm kind of in the same boat, thinking about like, do I really need it? Like, I think I have to finish the most recent season of Squid Game before I consider that.
I can never get into Squid Game. I can never get into it.
It's weird. It's good. The second season, I'm about halfway through. I just haven't had time because I started it, but my girlfriend hasn't started it yet, so I felt bad like watching it and she hadn't started it yet. Mm-hmm. So I've been waiting just for a time, when she's working a night shift or something, and I can like, all right, well, we'll finish the rest of the season, or just let her catch up when I'm not here.
Yeah, I've heard mixed reviews about the second season. I've heard that a lot of nothing happens. Is that fair, or again, you're sitting midway through?
The first couple episodes, it wasn't what I was expecting it to be, but it was still interesting enough, and I think I'm pretty much halfway through, and I'm definitely intrigued to see where the story's going. Like, there are a couple early twists that make the show seem a lot more interesting than it was probably going to be. So looking forward to seeing how everything else plays out. It'll be fun.
Do you watch the Mr. Beast Squid?
No, I did not. But I did see. I heard a lot of things about that show. I think the most impressive thing I heard was that they edited the entire thing on Adobe Premiere, which I think is crazy because that's not something that you edit professional TV shows on. But hey, Premiere, it's easy to use for a reason, right? It's the best.
Yeah. Well, what's not the best is Netflix's plan to keep raising money. So right now I'm on the cusp of getting rid of my Netflix and going back to HBO Max because I hear the Penguin's fantastic. I can't wait for The Last of Us season 2 coming out. Yeah. Those shows, those are things that draw me and give me an excuse to sign up. But Netflix, I don't know. The sports, it depends what game it is. But even like WWE, used to be in it years ago as a kid growing up. But yeah, that stuff, there's not much on there for me.
It's not hooking you.
No, it's not hooking me right now. So, boo Netflix.
Boo Netflix.
Boo Netflix. I'm probably going to keep it anyway.
After Squid Game, I'm done.
After we're done. A lot of people are saying they're done with The Brutalist.
Yeah.
I love these. Do you like these transitions?
You got your A game today.
All right. So AI game, rather, because the movie is receiving backlash after admitting to using AI in the film. Apparently, the editors revealed that they used AI tools from Respeecher to improve the authenticity of the Hungarian dialogue that Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones were speaking or using. Did this cross your mind, or did you even notice at all?
I didn't notice. I mean, he sounded very good.
You don't speak Hungarian.
I don't know. I have not. I'm hoping to go there sometime. I'd love to go to Budapest, but no. I'm not fluent. No.
Yeah. So Was there nothing raised a red flag for you?
No, it's not something I would have ever considered, and I think it was. I don't want to sit here and act like I'm sitting up on this holy high horse and all that, but was a little disheartening to hear that because, Adrian Brody gave one of my favorite performances of the year, and I thought would have probably been my pick to be best actor this year. But when you think about acting and what makes a good performance, like that's part of it. I'm not going to sit here and he has to have a perfect Hungarian accent. I think it would have been better in a way, but obviously I don't know how it sounded before they added that effect, but I think it does take away from that when you consider like this is supposed to be the best performance of the year and they had to use AI to fix that. I'm shocked that they even admitted this before like award season was over.
Do that
because
after.
I mean, with the way that, like, you think about the SAG strikes and the writer's strikes, about how AI was such an important part of that, like, that's probably not going to sit the right way with a lot of voters for the Academy Awards.
Yeah, unless so there are a couple of things in my mind. One, maybe Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones had no idea they were going to do that, so maybe they tried their best, they studied the language, and maybe they got as close as possible. But then the director or somebody said, it sounds like Dick Van Dyke doing a British accent, and so let's do it. And then, or two, did they know that going in? Just saying like, oh, you don't have to put it too much effort. Focus on the emotion and not so much the language because we're just going to overdub that or fix it in post. So. Yeah. And
I did see actually something interesting in doing research for this, but apparently, what's the name of the AI thing again? It's
Respeecher.
Apparently, Respeecher was also used in another Oscar-nominated film, Emilia Perez. Apparently, it was used to help improve the vocal range of the main actress, who's was it Carla Sofia Gascon, I believe is her name. Apparently, they used that to improve her vocal range because her vocal range was a little limited, which like also is a little like. It's a musical. Like the whole point of being in a musical is, is being able to sing. You know, and if they were using that to improve how it sounds, I mean, it's just like it's just more AI creeping into art now.
See, that one I'm a little just gut reaction, a little less annoyed just because there's auto-tune that makes voices better.
That's true.
But if you're using AI to do that, then then you're getting into some gray area. Yeah. Another thing about Emilia Perez, what's it called?
Emilia Perez.
Emilia Perez. It's also getting flack because I heard that they used Google Translate, like just Google Translate to translate English into Spanish so they could read it. And everyone knows like it doesn't translate that well.
I would have gotten kicked out of school for doing that in Spanish class. Let me tell you that much.
Because writing for Spanish is different than speaking Spanish. Yeah. And so I'm curious of how that came about because I've heard that people in Mexico who've watched it, they're not fans of it because of just the way it was made. Apparently they didn't shoot in Mexico, they filmed elsewhere. And so it's a lot of interesting shenanigans, I'm calling it.
And I assumed that it was a Mexican movie, but then the Golden Globes rolls around and they're thanking this guy named, I think is Jacques. I'm like,
it's
and then
French.
It's French. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I know that like a lot of people from Mexico were not happy with the movie. I know a lot of people in the trans community are not happy about the movie. I know a lot of people that like musicals are not happy about the movie. So I'm just kind of like, how did we get to this point? I mean, I don't want to jump ahead, but like it got how many Oscar nominations?
13. It's leading that's insane. Yeah, we'll get into it more, but it's leading the charge, and the internet is ablaze and angry over this, considering who did not get nominated for incredible films. But this is just again, just going back to the Brutalist really quick. This could be the future unless it gets so much backlash that they don't try to do it again.
Yeah, I think the fact that we've already seen it now in 2 of the Oscar-nominated Best Picture movies, I can't imagine that it will go away, unfortunately. But I think in the future, I feel like people might be a little more accepting of it, or at least they might turn a blind eye to it. But right now, in like the really contentious AI market that we're in, particularly with like artists looking at it, it could be it would not surprise me if this impacted a lot of Academy voters when it comes down to vote, and they might miss out on some things they probably would have been a lock for.
Well, they've lost my vote if I were to vote for this for the SAG Awards. Speaking about just the awards now, let's just want to get right into the Oscar noms.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So let's go in. As we mentioned, Emilia Perez got the most recognition with 13 nominations. 13. Pretty incredible. We could start with Best Picture right here. So I'm not surprised that Anora has been nominated for Best Picture. It's a beautiful film.
Unbelievable.
Very well directed.
Yeah.
Really fun story. It's also nominated for Best Original Screenplay as well.
Yeah,
so,
and the director and I want to say it was also nominated for Best Actress and for Best Supporting Actor, which is slowly becoming one of my favorite categories in this whole thing. But we'll do Best Picture, you know.
Yeah. So after Anora with The Brutalist.
Yeah, The Brutalist. We've the brutal AIist.
A complete unknown. You have seen that?
I just watched that last week.
Is it Oscar worthy? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's not like the greatest. Like, I feel like the music biopic trend, or just like they're always kind of very cookie cutter, and this definitely falls into that range. But the performances that the actors are giving, like Timothée Chalamet, phenomenal. I'm a huge Timmy T guy. I love it. Pretty much every movie he's been in, I've enjoyed. He's been one of the big parts about it that I've enjoyed the most. I think he's, you look at the range. In 1 year, he played Paul Atreides in Dune, Bob Dylan, and Willy Wonka. Just like three, just completely all different sides of the spectrum, and he did a great job in all of them. I'll be rooting for that. I'll be rooting for him to win Best Actor, definitely.
I'll be rooting for him to be named next year's Hasty Pudding's Man of the Year, because
that would be awesome.
Just Dune, Wonka, and a complete unknown would be an incredible theatrical show.
And I think he would do it. I think he would. He would totally be into that.
He would definitely do it. So that's good. The Conclave, starring Ralph Fiennes.
Yes.
That one looks so good. Again, the time. Don't have the time. But it is on my list to watch. I heard the cinematography is amazing. Ralph does an amazing job. Again, he's incredible. Did you see how jacked he got for not for Conclave, but how jacked he got for the Odysseus movie that came out?
Oh my God, no!
Yeah, so he plays Odysseus, and it's the last act of that story where he goes back home and he has to fight like a dozen men who want to marry his wife, whatever. But he comes back and he's like ripped, and but how he described it was like a tight rope, because he's older, he's like in his 60s, but so he wanted to be very low fat, tight. I don't know why I'm gushing over Ralph Fiennes' body much.
He's great. I mean, do you see his body in Harry Potter?
It was the very last scene before he died was very wrinkly. I remember that.
Missing a nose, I believe. Yeah. But now Ralph Fiennes, gotta love him.
Gotta love Dune Part 2 as well.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
Not surprised it's nominated for Best Picture. So disappointed that the man who directed the film not nominated for Best Director.
Yeah, I don't know what he did to deserve that, because he is. With his vision makes that movie what it is.
It's incredible how that is allowed to happen.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I don't know who he ticked off over at the Academy, but that was crazy to me.
Yeah, we'll get into the directors in a second, but Josh Brolin, after the awards, the nominations were announced, he posted on Instagram or wherever, just basically calling out the Oscars and just saying, Denis Villeneuve, you deserve to be nominated. You deserve to win because you are amazing. You're incredible, and the fact that you were not recognized is like a travesty. Don't quote me, but that's that's the vibe of what he. What he posted.
Good guy, Josh Brolin. Way to go! Come to your guy's defense.
I know, my goodness. So it's incredible that he was not nominated. Emilia Perez, as we mentioned, Best Picture. I'm Still Here.
Saw the trailer for this and have heard a lot of buzz about it. It's Brazil's entry for international film. I believe the general thing is it's about a woman whose husband is a politician in Brazil who is arrested and essentially made to disappear, and her fight about that whole situation. I believe the main woman, Fernanda Torres, I forget her last name, but I know her first name is Fernanda, and she is apparently fantastic. I saw these great videos on Twitter of the newscasters in Brazil watching the announcement and everyone going nuts. Yeah. And they were like, no, there wasn't just a World Cup goal scored. It's just that this movie got nominated for Best Picture, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it's gotten a lot of fun buzz. No, that looks so cool. And what also looks cool and getting a lot of great buzz is Nickel Boys. This is a very small production film based around, I don't know the plot, but I saw the trailer and I was intrigued. But this one, what interested me the most was that it was filmed in 30 days. Yeah. And they had to cut 4 days of filming because of weather-related issues. And so they had very little rehearsal time. The director, as I mentioned, he was on
not Variety. Oh yeah, I guess it may have been Variety, where the directors sit down together, and he was talking about the production of it and the challenges they face. But given all the challenges, they accomplished something, and apparently it's a great film. The two young actors who play the leads are incredible. Given that there was no time to rehearse or practice, they just went they kind of run and gun kind of shooting, and they came out very well.
Yeah. I'm excited to see that sometime. I don't really know much about it, but I do know that part of it's filmed in first person.
Yeah, POV,
which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to checking that one out.
No, that looks good. The Substance, we both reviewed that last week.
Check
Incredible
it out.
film. Not surprised that it's nominated. And Wicked.
Yeah,
Wicked.
very fun.
Don't see too many musicals nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, and we got 2 this year. What are the odds? And I guess I would even argue that A Complete Unknown is a musical because there's so much music in that as well.
You know what snub was? Joker Adieu.
Oh, yes.
Oh, big snub.
What was it? Did Nikki Glaser make that joke? She says, "Where's the Joker table at the Golden Globes?" Oh, God, I can't believe I watched that movie.
Oh, my goodness. I did not watch that movie. I saw the first movie. I really, really enjoyed it. And I think it's aged pretty well.
Yeah.
I know some people have mixed thoughts on it, but I think it's a solid film. And Joaquin won an Oscar for that performance.
Deservedly so.
He is nominated, however, for a Razzie for worst actor, I guess, for Joker Part 2.
Deservedly so.
Deservedly so.
It was one of those things where they weren't kidding. That movie is a musical, and I was shocked.
Oh my goodness. Let's continue the shocked because Best Director Emilia Perez, Jacques Audiard. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that. But she nominated for Best Director. Sean Baker.
Fantastic. Super happy for him.
Super happy for him. I want to see the one with Willem Dafoe, the one where he works at a
Florida Project.
That looks so good.
That was my first Sean Baker movie I ever saw, and it was such a unique way of telling a story. I loved it. And then I remember for a class I had to watch his debut film, Tangerine, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one. It was filmed all on an iPhone 5. The whole feature film filmed on an iPhone, and it looks great. It's amazing that they were able to produce something like that with an iPhone.
Yeah.
Super happy for him. Well deserved.
Well deserved. Brady Corbet, also the director of The Brutalist, nominated for Best Director.
Now in hot water.
Yeah, get out of here. Actually, get out of here, Corbet. Let's see. Coralie Fargiat for The Substance. Coralie Fargiat for The Substance.
Coralie, I think.
Coralie. She's also French, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. That's my excuse for not pronouncing her name correctly. And James Mangold for A Complete Unknown.
Yeah. But it's definitely going to be interesting. I hope that Sean Baker wins that. I think it will be well deserved. I mean, he got I believe he got Best Director at the Cannes Film Festival this year. So it wouldn't surprise me if that ends up repeating.
And now we're moving on to the Best Actor in a Leading Role. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah, no. So we got Adrian Brody, as we mentioned, for The Brutalist. Obviously, it's been a little controversial now with the whole AI thing on his accent. Whether or not you think that someone can win Best Actor when they have that. I mean, but honestly, when we think about it, probably not the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
I wonder how long this app has been around for and what other great performances it might have been used on.
Yeah. So, Adrian Brody, again, great actor. You can't take that away from him, but
still a great performance.
Some baggage. Yeah, still great performance. Timothy Chalamet. I call him Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet, A Complete Unknown. Again, you gave.
I could gush about that performance all day. I mean, he really he has it.
No, I don't want to. Again, I still plan to see it. But does he sing I'm assuming he sings like Bob Dylan.
He does, and I'd argue he's probably a better singer than Bob Dylan.
Oh, that's not a high bar though. I'm sorry, Bob.
He's not a better songwriter, Bob.
Okay.
You get that. Yeah. But no, I mean definitely. I mean it's he sounds good, and the other actors that sing in the movie as well. Even the actor that is playing Johnny Cash does a decent job. It's hard to replicate Johnny Cash, but he did his best.
Coleman Domingo did his best certainly in Sing Sing.
Phenomenal. He is unbelievable. I'm so happy that he got nominated for this. It's his second year in a row getting a Best Actor nom. If he was to win, that would also be amazing.
Ralph Fiennes, Conclave. And Sebastian Stan, The Apprentice.
Yeah.
There's the other movie with Sebastian Stan. I think he was nominated twice in one category for the Boston Globe. from Boston Globe for the Golden Globes.
Yes.
What's it called? Something Man?
I think it's a different man. I don't want to
Man.
confuse it with was it Better Man?
Better Man. The monkey one.
That's the monkey one. Yeah, no.
Sebastian Stan really transformed himself into a monkey.
But no, yeah, I haven't seen either of those, but I have heard good things about both performances.
Yeah, I really want to see A Different Man because his speech because he won the Globe, his speech was so moving, and the man who plays I guess the other half later, the later developed character in that film, just the strength and bravery to put yourself out there and tell that kind of story. And speaking out for those with disabilities. So go Sebastian Stan. I am a stan for Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, I always love seeing big MCU guys having success.
Yeah, and doing roles that are just out of their, what people expect.
Hey, look at RDJ last year. Paid off for him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, good for RDJ and good for the ladies who are nominated for Best Leading Role, Best Actress, Cynthia Erivo, Wicked. Of course.
Yep.
The wickedly talented Cynthia Erivo.
Gravity-defying.
We have Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez. Mikey Madison, Anora.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
I'm hoping that she'll win it. I mean, I think she's done a fantastic job. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the next person on this list to be more for the substance. I mean, she's had such an illustrious career. Apparently, this is her first Oscar nomination. I did not know that.
Yeah, so people are theorizing that Demi might get it just because it may be one of those legacy or lifetime achievement
kind of
awards.
like Jamie Lee Curtis a couple years ago with Everything Everywhere.
I love Jamie, but I'm not sure she.
No,
I won't say anything more. I won't say anything more. But I'm pulling for Mikey. I think Demi did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But I have a soft spot for Anora and Mikey. Really, really, all those characters. And we'll go more into it. Were great in that film, but she was fantastic too.
And then Fernanda Torres with I'm Still Here, so I did have her name right. I'm happy about that. Everything I've heard is that she's fantastic. I have not seen it, but I do want to watch that and see if it's cracked up to be because I've heheard a lot of really good things about it.
And coming up next, I'm actually really excited for this one. Again, another Anora Best Actor in Supporting Role is Yura Borisov.
Yes.
He plays Igor in the film, and I watched when he was interviewed by somebody back in Russia, or I don't know exactly Russia, but he was doing an interview on Skype, and in frame was Yura, but also his two daughters and his wife behind him, and they're all just smiling the biggest smile as they're being interviewed, and you could just see the pride the family has for him, for their father, for their husband, and his character was one that surprised me. Because, again, we will get into the spoilers of it, but that surprised me with how attached I was to him.
Yeah, and how attached you get to him without him even saying much. It's such a well unspoken performance. Like his presence and the way you can see him thinking and he's taking in what's unfolding, it's so captivating. And I remember seeing that he was nominated for this and being really intrigued by that because, I mean, and I after looking him up, I found out he's like an actual actor because a lot of Sean Baker movies, he doesn't even use actors. He just finds people that he thinks would do a really good job. And I saw, he's an accomplished Russian actor, and he did a fantastic job, I thought. I mean, there's so much he does and says without even doing anything or saying anything.
It's a lot of eye acting.
Yeah.
So so many moments where you just see an eye pivot, an eyebrow raise or lower, a glance to the left or right, and you totally know what he's thinking.
Yeah.
And he kind of acts as the viewer or the audience for the film, who is kind of going along with this ride, and who's kind of stepping out of the box and just seeing all the players and how everybody's moving and how everybody is acting, treating each other, how things are playing out.
Yeah.
And so he's like us as the movie unfolds. So I'm really happy for him because he seems like a really nice guy, lovely family, and again, a very moving kind of interview that he did. Kieran Culkin.
Fantastic.
Our boy.
I mean, he was great. I mean, this whole category is just stacked with some great performances. I mean, I believe that Kieran Culkin is like the runaway favorite to win it, which, I mean, while he did do a great job, I'm surprised that he's as favored to win as he is only because there are so many other great performances in this tier. It doesn't seem like as much of a lock as it should be.
Yeah. I feel like last year, who walked away with so many awards last year? I forget which film, but everybody was kind of just pulling for that film or kind of expecting that film to win. But this year, it's anybody's game in many of these categories. And again, in this category too, we have Edward Norton in A Complete Unknown. Who does he play?
He plays Pete Seeger, the folk music legend.
Nice.
He does a really good job. I mean, I'm a big Ed Norton guy.
Yeah.
And I will say the only thing that took away from it for me is he looks so much like Peyton Manning. I don't know if that's like a weird way. Like his forehead is like really big and he has like the Peyton Manning forehead. But no, he does a great job as a soft-spoken but powerful Pete Seeger in that movie. Super happy for him. And then in The Brutalist, I mean, Guy Pearce. He plays the wealthy businessman that sort of finances Adrian Brody's character, and he was one of the high points in the movie for me as well. I mean, like he's in the first act a little bit, but the second act he really kind of just like lets it fly, and they just kind of let him go, and he was a huge bright spot in this movie.
Is he over the top? Not, and when I say over the top, I don't mean like just out of control, but like is he like his presence very demanding, very strong?
Yes, and he mixes it between these moments where he's very like positively enthusiastic and he's just like is really appreciating everything, and then he can flip into this like deranged anger. It's amazing the not the depth, the how wide of a performance he has. I can't find the right word for it, but
great.
He's got a very varied performance that I think is great.
No, that's awesome. Again, I can't wait to watch it when I have 3.5 hours to kill. Also, Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice.
Two Succession people in this category. Gotta love it. I haven't seen The Apprentice, but I have heard that he's great.
Great stuff. Let's move on to Best Actress in a Supporting Role. Also, a complete unknown, Monica Barbaro.
Yeah.
Monica Barbaro.
She plays Joan Baez. Does a very good job. I was a fan. It's just very solid performance.
Awesome. Ariana Grande in Wicked. Again, Wicked's getting a lot of love. I was kind of surprised because not all musicals do, but this one again getting acclaim and praise all around. So not too surprising. Should be that Ariana Grande is nominated. Felicity Jones in The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini in Conclave, and Zoe Saldana in Emilia Perez,
who I think will probably be the winner. I know she won. She won for. She won the Golden Globe for musical and comedy. I don't remember who won the drama one. I don't remember who got that, but it seems like she'll probably. I can't imagine with 13 nominations that Emilia Perez is going to walk out with nothing. I mean, it'll probably get Best Song, I'd imagine, because I don't think anything from Wicked was nominated. But I would not shock me. And I think I didn't finish Emilia Perez because I didn't like it.
I heard the first 20-30 minutes are great, and then after that it just drops off.
See, for me, the first 20-30 minutes were like unwatchable. I couldn't finish it. My girlfriend did finish it, and she said that it ends a lot better than it starts. But Zoe Saldana, I could at least tell from what I saw that she did a good job.
All right, well, let's see. Let's skip down to there's adapted screenplay, but I want to see original screenplay.
Yeah.
Again, our one of our favorite movies of the year, Anora, written by Sean Baker, directed by Sean Baker. Not surprised.
Yeah. No, I mean he's got such a unique way of storytelling, and it's good to see him getting I mean, I think he did get nominated for something for Florida Project, but I'm glad to see that they're really giving him his flowers because he's very good at what he does.
Shout out to Mac and Goo, because Mac of Mac and Goo, he when they reviewed Anora, he was raving on about how much he loved it, possibly his favorite movie of the year, but he said it should win the Oscar for Best Screenplay. So, and it's very, very good.
Yeah,
so.
And I think alongside the rest of these nominees, I think it should be the favorite personally. I mean, The Brutalist, it's good.
Yeah,
definitely good. I mean, I had my qualms with the screenplay. I think it kind of loses a little bit of momentum in the second half. But it's a 3.5 hour movie. You know, it's going to be hard to keep that energy going the whole time.
Could anything be cut from the movie? Because in that case, like, if you feel like again, I'm no editor, film editor, but like at a certain point, you're thinking, we have a lot of great moments, but if there's a lull or there are places that I think
personally, for me, I think there would be portions that I prefer would have just been different, like just rewritten, and maybe that could have made it shorter. But what do I know? I'm not a screenwriter.
My wife and I have this not debate, but we have like this our mutual kind of like rants about movies that if they would have tweaked certain things or gone different directions, it would have been a much better film. For example, not to go off the beaten path, but Gladiator 2. Did you watch Gladiator 2?
I have not. I do want to see that, though.
I don't want to spoil it, but I will. I'm kidding.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I've had plenty of time.
What's his name? I'm blanking on my favorite guy's name. Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal's character, he plays a general. There's a part in the movie where he's like, hey, I have a loyal 1,000 army soldiers who are willing to, like, who would have my back if we were to overthrow the emperors. Like, they got my back. We got a plan. We can do this. Cool. And then 5 minutes later, kind of like in the original Gladiator 2 when they're trying to break out Maximus from prison because there's this plan, it gets shuttered. Like everybody gets arrowed in the chest. And so Pedro Pascal, he survives, but everybody else gets arrowed. Yeah, like in the first one, Maximus survives, but everybody else gets arrowed. But the thing is, like, if they would have if they would have gone in that path where they had written it so Pedro Pascal and Paul Mescal's character end up in the Colosseum because that's like, you want to see them two fight.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, you can still have that scene, but have a point where like, no, and then the army comes in. Then you have this big battle in the Colosseum. That would have been so great.
Would have been sick.
But they said, "Oh, we're gonna do this thing. Oh, that looks so awesome." 5 minutes later, nothing's happened. Move on. Like, whoa!
It's like the Knights of Ren and the Star Wars thing where it's like, oh, the Knights of Ren, and they just immediately are all killed. It's just like, who cares?
Okay, yeah. So my wife and I have so many things. We're like, if they just do this or this, it would have been a movie 10 times better. We're no screenwriters, but if they invite me or my wife or yourself off the street
for the table read,
do this instead.
Yeah.
Like that it would have worked better.
Get us in the focus group screeners.
Yes,
come on.
Come on.
We got thoughts. We got takes.
We got
We're professionals.
They're always right. What's also right is these other nominees for original screenplay. We mentioned The Brutalist, A Real Pain.
Yeah, super happy for Jesse Eisenberg. I think this is the first movie he's written, as far as I know. But good for him.
Yeah, go Jesse. September 5 is how they written it. I think that's a movie where the Israeli hostages.
Yeah, and I was intrigued because I assumed it was a story about like that, but it's sort of, from the trailers I've gathered, it's a story about the ABC sports team that was covering it, and obviously they played a big role in the historical event, but I was a little surprised to see that's the angle that they took for it.
Yeah. As somebody in news, that actually does intrigue me.
Yeah.
Plus the main actor, I'm blanking on his name, but he's been in so many great things, and he's anything that he's in, I'm more willing to watch.
Yeah.
And so September 5, also The Substance.
Great movie. Very original.
Yeah, well said. Very real. The thing is, I think I'm just pulling a number out of my butt right now, but the entire film, the screenplay, has probably like, for example, 130 pages, but there are like 30 pages of dialogue.
Yeah,
that's how they described it. Like, is that kind of like a comparison of just like how long it is, which isn't very long, but compared to like the actual words in it, is even less.
That's crazy.
But with that, even it's still a great movie. Let's move on to cinematography. Unless you're interested in animated feature films.
The only thing I saw that Flow. It's the international nominee from Latvia has been nominated for this and Best International Film. It's like a story about like a cat and a bunch of animals recovering from a great flood. Looks really interesting. Looks really cute. I do want to watch that.
I saw Inside Out 2. I forgot it came out this year and it made $1 billion. But it came out early this year or last year, 2024. And Inside Out 2, great. The first one is great, fantastic movie.
One of my favorites.
This one's just as good.
And The Wild Robot, I don't know if you saw that.
No,
Wild
I've been
Robot
wanting
was
to
fun.
see it.
It's really fun. It's really cute. I think especially for you as a parent, I think it might resonate with you a lot. It's a big story about like being a parent and whatnot and what it takes to be a parent. So.
I heard that they may be making a part 2 because like it's a book, it's a series, and so the part 2 may be in the works because it was very popular.
That'll be fun.
So that one's good. Cinematography, I'm very interested in because all these films look beautiful. I can't speak for Emilia Perez, but The Brutalist.
Looks great.
Looks great. Dune Part 2. I don't think anything needs to be said. But let's say it anyway.
Should win by far. I mean, you look at I remember actually you know the beginning of the movie how there's the eclipse scene.
Yeah.
There was an actual eclipse that happened.
Real eclipse.
Like I think that's insane that they were able to do that and they made it work like that.
They did too is they used as much natural sunlight as possible, so much so that they actually got drones, and with LiDAR they scanned all the mountains, all the dunes, no pun intended, but all the physical literal dunes and everywhere they were going to film, and then they timed it and they used astrology to pinpoint exactly when the sun was going to be at certain points. So when they went out there, because they had to travel out there to film these shots, it was all a science and you know in the tech sense and in the astrological sense.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, and so they use as much natural lighting as possible. And then also, you mentioned that one thing that stood out in my mind is they use one camera to film. Ridley Scott famously uses like 6 cameras because he came from a background of filming shows.
Yeah.
And so they would use like the multi-cam setup. And it was funny because Denis Villeneuve was saying like, I cannot imagine trying to operate more than one camera because I need a singular vision of what I want to be on the screen. And so, so not surprised. I think it should win also Best Cinematography. Greg Pfizer. Go Fraser. Go. Emilia Perez also nominated for Best Cinematography. Maria, I'm not sure what that is.
I have not. It's a biopic about Maria Callas, I think I'm saying her name right, famous opera singer. The only thing I know about it is that it was Ed Lachman apparently is just like every time he makes a movie he's nominated. So I think they just threw him in there because like he's just like, he's just really good at cinematography.
We didn't watch the movie, but we trust you.
I trust him.
Nosferatu, Jaron Blaschke. One thing I talked about during my review of Nosferatu on the Hub on Hollywood was the cinematography.
Yeah.
Because they use a lot of like grays and blacks and whites, and even though it's very there's a very limited color in this film, very muted colors, it's shot so beautifully. Like every shadow is used eloquently to perfection. Every black and contrast is beautiful. The world looks amazing. The actors, the tone. I can rave on about how beautiful Nosferatu looks, even though there's so many disgusting imagery in that film.
Yeah.
That disgustingness looks beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean Robert Eggers is fantastic at what he could do with a camera and making those movies look the way they do. I mean, I've The Lighthouse, in all black and white. I mean, just you talk about the shadows and that. I mean, it's so well shot. I'm wondering if it was the same cinematographer. Honestly,
I wouldn't be surprised. But Nosferatu, that one, if Dune Part 2 doesn't win, I would go for Nosferatu.
There you go.
That would have my vote. Let's go through. We could skim through costume design. A Complete Unknown. Do they match the 70s? It takes place during the 70s, right?
Yeah,
mainly the 70s or 60s.
I think the Bob Dylan outfits looked pretty spot on.
Are they pretty like it's like a jean jacket, right?
Yeah, you're going the whole time with the sunglasses and the hair. I think they did that. Yeah, I think they did a solid job.
Conclave, Gladiator 2. Really great Roman attire, uniforms, armor,
papal stuff. It's those are definitely 2 shoe-ins for sure.
Yeah, they actually used the same armor that Russell Crowe used in Gladiator for a sequence or scene in Gladiator 2.
Wow, that's awesome.
So again, they're trying to pull that nostalgia. Those nostalgia strings for people. Also, Nosferatu, beautiful, like German Victorian era dresses and suits. Very beautiful. Wicked also. Wickedly beautiful.
Wickedly beautiful. Some great costumes in that movie.
Great costumes. Let's see. There's film editing, makeup and hair. If you want to get into this, I'm not sure, but...
the only one that I feel super strongly about that we didn't talk about was score.
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge film score guy. I remember I took a great class in college about like the history of film scoring. It was one of my favorite classes I ever took. And the fact that Challenger's score did not get nominated. I mean, you look at it, won the Golden Globe. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, 2 well-respected, was supposed to say choreographers, the composers. That's the word I'm looking for. And one of the, I mean, this score sold like a lot of records this year. Like it was a hit score, and the fact that it didn't even get considered at all just shocked me.
I heard it's very like
it's very like like a lot of like running. It's like techno stuff you'd hear in like a club. And like I remember I was watching the interview with the director, and he was saying like that's what he wanted. Like he wanted it almost to be like he wanted the people watching the movie to like want to get up and dance while they're watching it. And like there are times where it doesn't hit for me. Like it's a little overpowering at times, and sometimes I think like the style of music it is doesn't fit every scene it's in, but. As a whole, it does such a great job of elevating how crazy that story is, and the fact that it's not nominated, I am shocked. But pulling for the Brutalist in that one, the score of the Brutalist is phenomenal. Conclave is good as well.
Yeah, excellent. Those are the nominees, and as well as our thoughts on some snubs and some well-deserved nominations. Let us know who you think got snubbed, got ignored, got rejected, who should lead a rebellion to overturn whoever's nominating, who's
Lady Gaga should be in there for Joker, Folia Do.
Lady Gaga, yeah.
Hey, she tried.
Yeah, what the heck? So, comment down below. Again, thanks for watching us here on the Hub on Hollywood. We are on YouTube, so be sure to like, follow, subscribe. Tell your friends. If they love movies as much as we do, I think they will love the podcast. Also, you can listen to us on any of the major podcasting streaming services like iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please leave a review. 5 stars, 10 stars, all the stars. Be sure to smash that, and it helps us out.
Yeah.
All right. Also, social media, at Hub on Hollywood. Yada, yada, yada.
Gotta follow.
Let's talk about, what do you want to talk about first? A Complete Unknown or Anora? Oh, not. Oh, yeah. Which, you want to talk about Sing Sing or?
I'll talk about Sing Sing. I think I've kind of hit everything I needed to say on Complete Unknown. I mean, just if you're a fan of that type of music, go watch it. My favorite joke I saw about it was if people thought that the people singing during Wicked was bad, just wait till I whip out my harmonica at A Complete Unknown.
I feel like a harmonica is like, some people view it as a weapon. It's like, how could you bring that out and flaunt it in public?
It's a highbrow kazoo, you know?
Okay, so here's a quick story. So I once went to San Francisco. I lived in Sacramento for a bit. We call it the city, San Francisco. So we went over there with a couple of friends who were visiting, and we went to a store. Beautiful harmonica. I was like, you know what? I'm living over here in Sacramento by myself. I'm gonna learn an instrument. I tried the guitar, not good at it. So let me try harmonica. It seems a little more in my lane. And so I bought the harmonica. It was like, I don't know, $60. It was a nice one. Left it in San Francisco. Oh. It's on a bench somewhere where a pigeon is playing it now.
You could have been the next Bob Dylan or Bruce Springsteen with that thing, man.
Yeah, so that's my harmonica story. In case
that's a shame.
Everyone should have a harmonica story.
Listeners at home, let's start a GoFundMe to get James another harmonica.
No, my wife will kill me. My wife,
you know what? That is fair.
My wife will kill me.
I'm sure your cat would love the sound of a harmonica.
Absolutely. So Sing Sing. What's Sing Sing about?
So Sing Sing is about a group of people that are incarcerated at the Sing Sing prison in upstate New York, which did not know that was a real place. I watched it.
I heard about it, but I forgot.
It's about this. It's based on a true story, which is really cool, and I'll talk about how that's sort of weaved in a little bit later. But it's about these people that are in the prison, and they take part in this theater program where it's essentially a way to help them, rehabilitate themselves, but also to help them, deal with a lot of the emotions that they're feeling about, being in prison and stuff like that. They put on plays, they put on musicals, and it's just sort of the story about how, Coleman Domingo as the main character is navigating through that. He's trying to win his clemency for his thing that got him put in jail, and he's trying to help other people and just going through the whole process.
Please tell me he has to perform, and then if he wins on the theatrical, he wins his freedom.
I mean, basically, in a really meta way, kind of, because they look. It's a really interesting exploration in how art can elevate oneself and be one's liberation. Because he uses that as a way to rehab himself and to make himself more, to make himself look like he's ready to go back into the real world, and how that program helped so many people do the same. And the thing that's really cool about it is because it's based on a true story. the actors that are in the movie are actual incarcerated individuals and I believe some of them actually took part in the program and since won their freedom.
Oh, wow.
Not won their freedom. They weren't like actually competing for it,
Yeah,
they since were able to have their, go on parole or get clemency and have now, are now out in the real world again. And I thought it was really interesting, talking about how, before I was talking about Sean Baker using non-actors, these people, it would be unfair to call them non-actors because they were stage actors. And to see and this isn't as much of a spoiler, but in the credits, they show like actual clips of the actual performances they put together, which I think is really cool. It was cool kind of to see the full circle. And it's heartbreaking, it's heartwarming all at the same time. And I'm downright shocked that this was not nominated for Best Picture. I mean, it is one of the most Best Picture movies I've ever seen. Like maybe win, that's one thing. I think in a different year, this would easily be nominated and probably be a front runner. I do remember reading a lot about it and talking about how they think that just a lot of like the rollout for it is kind of what did it in for not getting nominated. I mean, it was released, I want to say, in like the late spring, not to a lot of theaters, so it didn't get a ton of buzz. And they brought it back into theaters, but it's the same weekend as The Substance. So everyone's going out to see The Substance because it just won a bunch of awards and people have been talking about it. But more people need to see this movie. It's important. Like there are movies that are fun, there are movies that are exciting, there are movies that are important. I think this movie's important, and I think it's something that people should see because of the message it's trying to tell you.
That's cool. So, like, when you're watching it, do you like? I don't want you to give a spoiler, but like, I was gonna ask you like, how does it end? But no, but it ends. I'm assuming with the big theatrical experience.
So actually, they kind of subvert your expectations a little bit. You see a lot of them rehearsing. You don't actually see the show itself, but you see the build up to it and the aftermath of it and how it impacts everyone in it and how they grow as people. I mean, the performances from these guys in the movie, I mean, they're the people that, they're the stage actors. They're not traditionally in movies. I mean, they're great. There are some guys in there that I feel like could probably have like actual careers, in acting based on the performances they put through. I mean, again, not to discount what they've done. I mean, they were actors. Like they were on the stage, and to see the actual productions that they did and the videos at the end was really cool, and to see what these guys achieved. It's definitely worth a watch.
So I'm assuming it may be in theaters or back in theaters?
It's back in theaters. I don't know what it's on streaming-wise. I'm pretty sure you can rent it. But yeah, and another movie, one other thing I'll throw in, but like beautiful looking. Like I don't know what it was shot on, but like it looks like it was shot on really good film, and it definitely could have been a cinematography nod in my book. It looks fantastic. It's an emotional ride, but the payoff is good, and it's worth a watch. I encourage everyone to go see it.
Excellent. Go see Sing Sing, and then the sequel, Sing Sing 3 or 2. Sing Sing Sing. Sorry about that. No, yeah. Excellent. All right. So, and lastly, to wrap up the episode, let's talk about Anora. This is a full spoiler review because
no excuses. You should have seen it by now.
If you haven't seen Anora, pause the podcast, watch it, and then come back immediately after watching it, so you can join in right now. Okay, cool. Okay, so again, this one was heard a lot of really good buzz. I heard that it was, and I think in the trailer it describes itself as Pretty Woman meets Uncut Gems.
That's the perfect way of describing it.
Yeah,
it really is.
And the thing is, so I heard good things about it. Did not see any reviews. Did not watch anything. Or I wanted to go in just knowing the bare minimum of like the synopsis. And I did watch the trailer, but it had been a while since I had seen it before watching the movie. And after like most movies, I watch a film. I let myself digest it for a bit, and then I go to my favorite reviewers and just see what they think as well. And the same thing had popped up, and I hadn't seen this, or at least I didn't remember. So maybe it was subconscious or it was subliminal. But in my head, I was thinking, it's Pretty Woman, but then at the end of it, the second and third act feels like Uncut Gems, because you kind of feel that, not bad anxiety, but just like that excitement, that rush of things are in motion.
The adrenaline.
The adrenaline. One of my favorite reviewers said that. He goes, Pretty Woman and Uncut Gems. And I was like, oh my God, that's like the perfect description for it. And again, without the anxiety, but yeah, just that rush of what unfolds. But basically, again, so for those who should have seen it by now, Anora, a young escort and stripper from Brooklyn, gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and impulsively marries the son of a Russian oligarch. This movie starts out, first, it stars Mikey Madison, nominated for Best Actress in a leading role. She's perfect.
Fantastic.
In this film. Did not know I knew that she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
As the
movie that spawned a million careers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane the amount of like minor characters that were in that
Margaret
movie.
Qualley's also in there too.
Sydney Sweeney, Austin Butler, Maya Hawke.
She wasn't small, but Dakota Fanning's also in there too.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize her.
No, it's crazy to think how many like big name people played like minor roles in that movie.
Yeah. So so Mikey Madison, and again, many of these actors are Russian, and so I'm butchering their names unless you know them.
Yura Burasov is the guy who's nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, he plays Igor, one of the henchmen, one of the quote
the goons.
Yeah, I love those guys. Mark Idelshaven, he plays Ivan.
Oh yeah. That's a hard one. I won't even bother.
Yeah, that one's a tough one. Surprisingly favorite character, Toros, played by Karen Karagulian.
Yeah, that
Toros
sounds right.
is a fantastic character.
Yeah.
And then you have the other henchman, Vach Tov Mason, as Garnick. And I didn't realize I was going to be enjoying all of these characters.
Oh my God. For the SAG Awards, like Best Ensemble wrapped up. They are hilarious together. I mean, like, it almost like, I love that people say it, like, it turns into like a slapstick comedy halfway through. And it's almost like, I was going to say it's like Pretty Woman, Uncut Gems, and also just like the Three Stooges, honestly.
Just like
exactly. Just like the hijinks that they're when they first go to the house, and this is spoilers, when they first go to the house and they have Mikey Madison's character Annie Anora, when they have her tied up on the couch, and Garnick is bleeding out of his nose, and Toros is screaming on the phone.
What's
like it's
going
just
on?
And then I love my favorite like subtle scene in this whole movie is when Toros leaves the church in the middle of the baptism, and all the people in the crowd are like, oh my God, like groaning at him. It was so funny.
Oh, so good. So just a recap of the film. Basically, we're introduced to Nora. She's at this high-end strip club in Brooklyn. That's where she meets the 21-year-old Vanya, the son of Vanya, the son of an extremely wealthy Russian, parents, oligarch of sorts. She impresses him because she knows a little bit of Russian because her grandma only spoke Russian.
No.
And that's how they build this initial connection in the strip club. Things start out transactionally, and so he gets a dance, they drink, he is infatuated by her, and then he tells her like, "Hey, I'll give you." I'll give you like $1,000 or whatever amount if you want to meet me at my house and basically act as an escort. And after a night spending a night together and having fun, and then, meeting up again through a New Year's Eve party, he offers her $15,000, I believe $15,000 to be his girlfriend for like a week or two or something like that. They begin seemingly growing feelings for each other. And then they decide on a whim, after hanging out with his friends and everybody in this group, to go to Vegas.
Oh yeah,
go to Vegas, get married.
And you know what they say about what happens in Vegas?
Don't tell your Russian parents.
Do not tell your oligarch parents.
No, we'll get to more into the plot, but really quick, the Vegas scenes were fun because after their marriage, they got married at the Little White Chapel. They go out to the Strip, and it's funny because you could tell I think they did like a run and gun kind of shooting because you could see people in the background, like in the distance, kind of like watching the Mikey Madison and Vanya kind of like spinning, saying, "We just got married," and like they're under the lights and they're celebrating. But you can see in the background just people kind of watching, like they're filming a movie over there.
Yeah,
no, that's one thing I noticed.
No, and that's the cool thing about Sean Baker's style is he is very into that guerrilla stuff. I mean, talking about his first movie Tangerine, I mean, it was just shot on the streets of LA with non-actors on an iPhone.
Yeah,
and it turned into a very celebrated feature film. I mean, he has that unique way of being able to deliver the performances and writing and directing and just out of people that might not even be actors or just in the most plain situations.
Yeah, and then things ramp up as after they get married, they get back to this big mansion, and that's when word starts to spread because of Vanya's friends at the New Year's party. They say, "Oh, that's the escort." So word gets around back to Russia, where Vanya's parents are. parents reach out to Vanya's caretakers, who are Toros and the two, henchmen, Garnick and Igor,
the goons,
and the thing I love about this is that they didn't go with the cliche of like these are mob boss goons where they'll break your knuckles and they're mean, they're evil. These are just guys who work for this rich family, and then they're like, oh, we have to take you back to Russia because your parents, and then Vanya just decides to make a run for it, leaves behind Anora, and then that's when they're trying to keep Anora in the house. They end up in this tussle, but the whole time they're trying to stay professional because Garnick is like yelling at Igor, like, why are you tying her up? Like, untie her. And he's like, be careful. Be careful. She's feisty or whatever. She's gonna hurt you. And then in the scene where, again, literally they're fighting in the room, mainly Anora's fighting, and the two guys are just taking it, trying to be professional, like, we don't want to do this, we don't want to hurt you. And then the funniest thing was when Garnick was untying Anora's legs with the telephone wire, she like just double foot kicks him in the face. He falls back into a glass table, and then like he has a concussion that continues to like progress, like the symptoms of a concussion throughout the entire movie. It's so hilarious. And so I love that they weren't like evil. They're just like, we work for these rich people, and we're just trying to make this.
They just want to keep that connection alive. They don't really care what they have to do, and it's and Igor just like, I mean, we talked about it earlier, but he's kind of just like there taking it all in, being like, well, this is crazy, right? You almost expect him to look at the camera and be like, can you believe this?
Yeah. And so eventually Toros, as we mentioned, he was at this baptism of sorts. He gets word from the parents, like, that he got married. Like, oh crap! Like this looks bad on me because I'm supposed to be making sure Vanya doesn't get into trouble. Now he got married to an escort, and so he's rushing over there while they're fighting with Anora on the phone. He's just like hearing commotion. He's like, don't hurt her. What's going on? Somebody tell me what's going on. He shows up, and then as like she's tied up, he's like, what the hell's going on? They're like, be careful, boss.
Yeah.
She's a tough one. That leads to them eventually kind of taking Anora hostage and trying to find Vanya, could be anywhere on the street.
Yeah.
So their little adventure, the four of them going to like a diner, trying to find, literally showing random people a picture of like, do you know this kid? He's sick. We got to take him back to his parents. Yada yada.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why I love it a lot is because they're the Toros and Garnick. They're both Armenian.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of my friends from home are Armenian, and just like seeing the mannerisms of like Toros, I was just like, that just reminds me of all their dads. It's so funny. And like he goes up to the kids at the bar, and he's like, you kids these days, you have no respect. It's just such a classic, like the boomer father, and it's so good.
I love the scene. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just saying, I almost would love to see just like an extended version of just the four of them, just like solving mysteries together. Just really would. They're just so goofy, and I like how you brought up the point of how they're not like these like hard grizzled guys that are gonna beat the victim into submission, and they're gonna like, oh, I'm gonna break your kneecaps. They're just a bunch of guys just trying to get a check. Like they're goofing around, they're gooning around. They're just crazy guys.
I love the scene where they're driving to one of the destinations to try to find Vanya, and all of a sudden Garnick just like throws up again, a symptom from a concussion that he got from Annie, and then you just hear him like, oh my god, I have to clean this, like my wife is gonna kill me, she's gonna smell this, like it still smells, like I know, like, and like this the complaining of like, my wife's gonna kill me because this is her car, and now it's getting towed, and now I've ripped it apart. And the scene where like they leave the car like at the pier area, they said, oh, let's just walk to like this other location, this restaurant,
take 5 minutes.
It'll take 5 minutes, and they just like, that was a lot more than 5 minutes, and just like little jokes like that keep your attention, that keep the movie moving. The pacing is fantastic in this film.
And not to jump ahead, to mention more of poor Garnick, when they go to the courthouse and they're like make sure the car doesn't get ticketed. If the cops show up, move it. And they come back, and you just, as the camera's going by, you just see the little orange thing on the windshield, and Garnick just in the front seat, like
just passed out.
And Toros is just like, oh my god, I told you to do one one thing. And he's like, please let me go to the hospital.
I need the hospital. Also, the court scene also where they're trying to get the marriage annulled. They find Vanya at the strip club. Like, again, he's like hammered out of his mind. Anora's like, why are you like, stand up for yourself? And this is when she's starting to realize like this guy doesn't care about me. He left me with these theoretical thugs that had no idea what they're going to do to me. And then they find him back at the strip club where he met Annie, and he's drunk out of his mind. They go to the court, try to get this thing annulled, and the judge is like, one, this isn't Vegas. You have to go to Vegas to get annulled. And two, like, this guy's drunk. Get the hell out of here.
And I love Toros just interrupting the judge constantly. It's just like, you in the camel jacket, shut up. You're not supposed to be talking right now. And she cannot say that. And it's like, no, sit down.
Like, the whole thing is just like, again, like you said, like Three Stooges meets like a kind of a road trip, a buddy road trip of sorts. And they keep hitting speed bumps and roadblocks, and it just gets funnier and funnier. But the thing is this isn't a flat out, straight out comedy.
No,
it's also very dark because Anora, she's somebody who you could tell she has dealt with trauma in her past, and she thinks this is her way out of a very difficult life or a career choice. Being an escort, an exotic dancer, and then to have the rug pulled out from under her to be told not to realize, that Vanya doesn't really love her. He just wants to marry her to get a green card, to stay in America, to stay away from his parents in Russia.
Yeah.
And then two, the fact that, she threatens, not only is her husband, not defending themselves or their marriage, but that he's going to go off with what his parents want. But, her threats of like, I'm going to sue and get half of everything you own because we never signed a prenup. And then there's just the straight reality of the mom coming straight forward saying, hey, we are rich as hell. We are very well connected. You are going to lose. This is not a Cinderella story. This is not going to end how you think or want it to end. This isn't a movie.
Yeah.
And she realizes this is not a movie. She follows through with the annulment, gets dropped off back at home with nothing but the engagement ring that Igor saved for her.
Yeah, which I thought was such a nice gesture, because, and he has that moment where he's like, he's been, like we said earlier, he's kind of sitting back and taking in everyone, how they're interacting, and they try to show you, despite the fact that he's, he tied her up and was holding her down and stuff like that.
I didn't assault you.
Which, and I thought was interesting. He's like, I didn't assault you. It's like, well, she bit him too. I feel like he should have thrown that back at her, but like they try to portray him as someone who at least has some sort of like a moral high ground, talking a lot about his grandmother. They try to portray him as this nicer guy, and that scene at the end is very powerful. And I thought about it a lot, and from reading about it, where, he does that for her. He gives her the ring, and, she responds to sort of thank him in the only way that her life has conditioned her to do, and then they're having that intimate moment, and he's like trying to kiss her, and then she just breaks down. And there was a lot of discussion about that scene and how you interpret it. I mean, Mikey Madison even said, she's like, you can kind of tell how someone views the world based on how they interpret that. And the way that I was kind of looking at it in that moment is, she always has this hope throughout this whole thing that Vanya's gonna get it together, and she's gonna get out of this rut that she's been in, and then I think in that moment she kind of realizes no, one of my friends, he wrote a review of it that I really liked, where he's like, she realizes she's not going to Disney World, she's not gonna she has the ring, but she's basically back where she was a week ago,
if
or
not
however,
steps behind from where she started.
And it's such a really interesting, the whole movie, I mean, and a lot of Sean Baker's work talks a lot about sex work, and it's such an interesting, just I like how it's bringing the conversations about the industry and what these people have to go through to the forefront, to the mainstream. I mean, this could win Best Picture at this point. I mean, not since maybe Midnight Cowboy winning Best Picture as a story like that ever gotten that much recognition at the Oscars. And yeah, I mean, that last scene really lingered with me for a while. And I mean, someone was saying oh, I hate the ending. I don't get it. It's it's kind of the point. Sean Baker's movies end very ambiguously, and it's left to think of like, what do you think about this?
And even abruptly. Just the abruptness of it too. You're hoping for some a softer letdown, a softer exit from the film, but it's as real, it's as cold, literally as cold, because outside it's snowing. Snow is going. The only thing you hear, there's no music playing during that intimate scene. You just hear the windshield wipers, and it reminded me of just like a heartbeat. Just like a constant heartbeat, but like it's a very cold scene, very abrupt ending, and after it ends, you are kind of left. At least I was just like, I need a minute to I need some time to soak this in, and because it's a roller coaster of like, you have high ecstasy and passion in the very beginning of the movie, and then you have like the twist into the second act where the chase, the cat and mouse game begins, and that's the fun, the levity, and then you have the third act where the real world, where you have these very wealthy people showing the wealth disparity and what wealth and what that power does in real life to real people. And what that in the very, very, very final scene where the mom just like puts her foot down saying, this isn't ending how you think it's going to end. Don't try.
It's not a Cinderella story.
It's not worth it. And Annie and Anora, a part of the growth is that accepting it, just like, I got duped. I have to call it because there's no winning this, and leave, and try to rebuild after that. But Anora's an amazing film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. We both highly recommend it.
Yeah, definitely.
Could win Best Picture. Really hoping the actors win their nominations as well. But it's been a while since a film left me feeling that way. And I'm very happy.
You should watch Florida Project.
I know.
It'll leave you feeling like that emptiness, but in a completely different way.
Yeah.
The ending of that movie is just as heartbreaking and just as ambiguous,
Sean Baker.
He's a genius. Good for him.
Go Sean. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for watching us on this week's episode of The Hub on Hollywood. Kyle, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll love to have you back on, of course, as soon as possible. Jamie is coming back from assignments, so we should be seeing her on the next week. But comment down below. Did you watch Anora? What are your thoughts? Who do you think should be winning the Oscars, winning all the awards, all the acclaim, all the praise at the Oscars? Really looking forward to Conan O'Brien hosting.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a great one. Shout out to Cynthia Erivo for being named Hasty Pudding's Woman of the Year. Also, John Hamm, Man of the Year. And boo to AI. It should be called the Brutalist.
The Brutalist. The Halloween version where everyone's a vampire.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much. This was The Hub on Hollywood. We'll catch you next time. I'm James.
And I'm Kyle.
Bye.